Welcome. This video will walk you through how to file the DFS Cybersecurity Annual Compliance Notification, which must be submitted on or before April 15th of every year. Section 500.17b requires covered entities to submit a notification each year regarding their compliance with the cybersecurity regulation during the previous calendar year. Importantly, the annual compliance notification submission process has not changed. The only difference is how you navigate to the cybersecurity application in the DFS portal using DFS ID. DFS ID is the department's new secure, single sign-on experience across DFS systems, including the portal, DFS Connect, and other licensing applications. For each covered entity, DFS has assigned one entity administrator to serve as a company representative on DFS ID. This individual can add additional entity administrators, as well as users who have access to specific applications and roles within these applications. To submit the annual compliance notification, you will need to be added through DFS ID. More information about the roles and getting set up in DFS ID can be found on a DFS ID hub at www.dfs.ny.gov/DFSID. Once you set up your account and navigate to the DFS ID login page at myportal.dfs.ny.gov, enter the email address and password associated with the DFS ID account. This will take you to the Authenticator page where you will need to enter the code you received to your Authenticator application. Once you authenticate using DFS ID, select DFS Portal Applications. Then select Cybersecurity. Importantly, your screen will only show you the applications you currently have access to. If you do not see the cybersecurity application, please reach out to your entity's DFS ID entity administrator to request a role change. On the DFS ID hub, you will see a video and a user guide that explains the different roles and how your entity administrator should manage roles. Once you reach the cybersecurity application, you will see a handful of options. This video focuses on how to submit a compliance filing, which appears in the middle of this webpage. All covered entities, other than those that qualify for a full exemption pursuant to sections 500.19b, e, or g, must submit a notification each year by April 15th regarding their compliance with the cybersecurity regulation during the previous calendar year. Covered entities have the option to submit either a certification of material compliance or an acknowledgement of non-compliance. Covered entities that qualify for a limited exemption pursuant to 500.19a, c, or d only have to certify material compliance or acknowledge non-compliance with sections of the cybersecurity regulation applicable to them during the previous calendar year. The covered entity should review its cybersecurity program to determine whether the program was in material compliance with the cybersecurity regulation. This will inform the decision on whether to submit a certification of material compliance or an acknowledgement of non-compliance. For this video, we'll first submit a certification of material compliance. Later, we will review how to submit an acknowledgement of non-compliance. To begin, select Begin Certification of Material Compliance. The first step here is to select your entity. There are a few options here to do so. If you do not know the DFS license, NAIC, NMLS, or institution number, you can select Help Find the entity or individual on whose behalf you are filing. This will display a lookup tool where you can enter the entity name or the first and last name for the individual licensees. After entering the name, click Search and your results will appear. Select the correct option, which will take you to the next page. If you know the DFS license, NAIC, NMLS, or institution number, select the appropriate box and click Next. On this screen, you will enter in the identifying number and click Search, and the entity or individual should appear below. If the correct information appears, click Next. If the information is incorrect, please double-check that you have entered in the correct identifying number or use the lookup tool discussed a moment ago. For the signatory information, please enter in the correct details as all fields are required here. We're currently looking at the entity version of the submission. For individuals, you will be prompted to enter your contact information. Once entered and confirmed for accuracy, click Next. The submitter name and email address should automatically populate here. These can be changed if necessary, and you may need to enter some of the submitter's information here. Once you confirm that the name, title, phone number, and email address are all accurate, click Next. On the next page, you will see the certification itself. This is where the highest-ranking executive and CISO must certify that the entity was in material compliance with relevant sections of the cybersecurity regulation during the previous calendar year. If you're an individual licensee, you will see a similar but slightly different version of the certification. On the individual version, there is no option for a Class A company as defined in Section 500.1d. In addition, the individual version only provides an option to select limited exemptions that may be applicable to individual licensees. Moving back to the entity version, the certification will also identify whether the entity qualifies for a limited exemption under Part 500 and what the basis for the exemption is. If you are a Class A company, you will select the first option. Other entities and licensees will select the second option, indicating that they do not qualify for an exemption or qualify as a Class A company. Next, review the certification and, if accurate, check the box and select Next. On the next screen, you can add contact information for individuals who would like to receive cybersecurity communications from DFS, such as compliance or government affairs personnel. These fields are optional, but you can add additional context if needed. When you're ready, click Submit, which takes you to a screen where you can record your submission. The submitter, CISO, and highest-ranking executive will receive confirmations of the submission via email. Please save a copy of your confirmation email for your records. Now we will jump back to the main page to walk through submitting an acknowledgement of noncompliance. To submit an acknowledgement of noncompliance, select the button to begin. The next few steps are the same steps you would follow for submitting a certification of material compliance. Start by looking up the entity or individual, either by using the lookup tool or by entering in the appropriate identifying number. Enter in the highest-ranking executive and CISO information, confirming that the contact information is correct before clicking Next. Confirm or enter your contact information in the Submitter Information tab and click Next. Now we are at the Acknowledgement page. Much like the certification of material compliance, this requires the highest-ranking executive and CISO's approval. Again, for individuals, this page looks a little different and only includes the option to select any applicable limited exemptions. For entities, select the appropriate box to indicate whether you qualify as a Class A company or for a limited exemption. Once you have reviewed all information to ensure it's accurate, click Next. On this page, select the box or boxes denoting the sections of Part 500 that the entity or licensee was not compliant with during the previous calendar year. For each selection, you will need to enter a description, identify whether the non-compliance has been remediated, and provide the date of remediation or, if the non-compliance is not yet remediated, the date of expected remediation. As an example, we'll click on Section 500.16, Incident Response and Business Continuity Management. For the example, we'll add a description that notes the business continuity plan was not tested last year, but an exercise is scheduled for May 2nd. We'll then click No, indicating that the remediation has not yet been completed. Finally, we'll enter the date of expected remediation. Here, it's May 2nd, the date of the scheduled business continuity exercise. When you have finished entering and confirming the accuracy of the information, click Next. On the next screen, you will see the Other Cyber Contacts page. As discussed earlier, this section is optional. When you're ready, you can click Submit, which takes you to a screen where you will record your submission. Again, the submitter, CISO, and highest-ranking executive will receive confirmations of the submission via email. Please save a copy of your confirmation email. If you have any questions, please visit the Cybersecurity Resource Center for assistance. There you will find written versions of these instructions for both entities and individuals. For information about DFS ID, please visit dfs.ny.gov/DFSID, where you will find instructional videos, guides, and frequently asked questions.